It always hits around 3 that strange hour when sleep fades and silence grows loud. You stare at the ceiling, feeling like something inside you is shifting or breaking. You're not panicking, but you're not at peace either. It's as if some invisible force is trying to speak through the weight in your chest. Carl Jung didn't think this was random. He called it the hour of the soul, the moment when the unconscious breaks through the illusion of your daily life. You're not crazy. You're not lost. You're waking up to something ancient, something powerful. At 3 a.m., your shadow walks in, not to scare you, but to guide you. What if the part of you you've been avoiding is the key to everything you're researching for? This isn't insomnia. This is initiation. You try to brush it off. The late-night overthinking, the heavy silence, the strange feeling that life is passing by while you fake smiles and keep going. You've done everything right, followed the rules, tried meditation, stayed positive, healed your wounds. But deep down, something still feels off. You scroll through your phone at night, not for fun, but to distract yourself from that low hum of emptiness that never fully goes away. You've achieved things. You've grown. But why does it still feel like something is missing? There's a quiet war happening inside you. One part is begging for peace. The other is screaming that you've ignored something vital. You can't tell your friends because they think you're doing well. You can't fully explain it because even you don't understand it. But you feel it. It's the moment when your reflection feels unfamiliar, when your accomplishments taste hollow, when your passion has dulled into quiet survival. Carl Jung said that people don't become enlightened by imagining light, but by making the darkness conscious. And maybe that's what this pain really is. Not something to fix, but something to face. Because your soul isn't asking you to escape it, it's asking you to meet it. To stop pretending you're fine and start asking deeper questions. Why am I really here? What part of me have I buried so deep that it now knocks at 3 a.m. to be heard? This isn't just sadness. This isn't just restlessness. This is your spirit calling out from under the life you were told to live, whispering that the truth wants to be found in more hustle, more healing, or more pretending. The truth is buried in the very thing you keep trying to avoid. Most people think awakening is a glow-up, a peaceful, enlightened version of life where everything makes sense. But Carl Jung warned that real awakening is raw, terrifying, and deeply inconvenient. It doesn't arrive with clarity. It arrives with chaos. It strips away the masks you didn't know you were wearing. The hidden truth is this: that version of you who's doing okay was carefully constructed to survive, not to awaken. The reason you feel unsettled at 3 isn't because you rebroken. It is because your soul is tired of pretending. That version of you who's always in control, always smiling, always rising above, is exhausted. Why? Because it's not you. It's the version you created to be accepted, to be safe, to be seen as successful. But the truth underneath is that your inner world, the one you've silenced for years, is finally demanding to be heard. And here's the darkest part. Most people never get past this moment. They medicate it, meditate it, or manifest it away. But Jung believed the path forward requires going into the unknown, into the parts of yourself you were taught to ignore. The fear, the anger, the grief, the hunger for meaning that makes no sense in a world obsessed with surface success. What if the feelings you've labeled as weakness are actually signals, signposts pointing toward your most authentic self? What if your restlessness is a message, not from your ego, but from the soul you've buried under years of survival? You weren't meant to just cope, You were meant to wake up. And waking up always begins in the dark. Carl Jung didn't romanticize awakening. He didn't sell it as a path of peace. He revealed it as a confrontation with your deepest truths. One of his greatest warnings was this: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That means the pain you think is random, the patterns you think are just bad luck, and the emotional weight that shows up without warning, none of it is accidental. It's your unconscious trying to wake you up. Jung believed that most people are haunted by their unlived lives, the dreams they suppressed, the emotions they never expressed, and the parts of themselves they were told to reject. And over time, these buried pieces form what he called the shadow, the darker half of your psyche that holds everything you denied. But here's the catch: the more you ignore it, the more it controls you, quietly, invisibly, relentlessly. That's why 3M feels different. It's when your distractions are gone, when your shadow finally has space to speak. Jung warned that if you don't face it, it doesn't go away. It shows up in your relationships, your work, your repeated failures. It becomes the silent architect of your suffering. And yet, society tells you to stay positive, to keep moving, to never look back. But Jung's message was the opposite. Stop running, turn around. Look directly into the dark. Because what you fear isn't there to destroy you. It is there to reintegrate you. Every emotion you suppress becomes a ghost in your system. Every truth you avoid becomes a weight on your spirit. And every moment you silence your soul becomes another thread in the web that traps you in an inauthentic life. Jung's warning wasn't about fear. It was about responsibility. You are not just a victim of circumstance. You are the co-creator of your reality. But only if you are willing to meet the parts of yourself you've been taught to fear. What if your darkness wasn't a flaw, but a signal? What if the pain, confusion, and emotional chaos weren't signs that you broken, but signs that you were being called inward into the most sacred part of your being? Carl Jung believed that the path to the divine is not up, but down, into the depths, into the confusion, into the discomfort. The modern spiritual world often preaches love, light, and high vibes, but Jung's teachings confront a deeper truth. You cannot reach wholeness without embracing the parts of you that you were taught to reject. That means your rage is sacred. Your shame is sacred. Your loneliness, your fear, your unexplainable sadness, all of it is part of your map home. The mistake is thinking you have to fix yourself to be worthy. Jung's reframe is this: you don't need to be fixed, you need to be integrated. You are not just your higher self. You are also your shadow, your wounds, your unmet desires. And until you embrace those pieces, you'll be living half a life, one that looks good on the outside, but feels hollow within. This isn't about becoming more spiritual. It's about becoming more real. And that means having the courage to feel it all. Not just the joy, but the grief. Not just the hope, but the despair. Because true spirituality doesn't bypass the dark. It walks into it, eyes open, heart open, knowing that within the dark lies everything you were searching for in the light. Your breakdown isn't a failure, it's a doorway. There's a trap that almost everyone falls into, even the most self-aware people. It's the illusion that once you've done some healing, read the right books, cut off toxic people, and followed a spiritual path, you're done. You've elevated. You've escaped the chaos. But Carl Jung knew better. He warned that this belief, the belief that you've transcended the darkness, is actually one of the most dangerous illusions of all. It's called the spiritual ego, the false self that hides behind healing. It whispers, "You're above this now. You've outgrown pain. You don't need to go back." But this voice isn't truth. It's fear, dressed in spiritual language. And if you listen to it, you'll end up avoiding the very shadows that need your attention the most. You'll start performing healing instead of living it. You'll seek validation for being high vibrational while quietly denying your anger, envy, or grief. And slowly, without realizing it, you'll build a new prison, this time made not of trauma, but of fake peace. Jung believed that wholeness isn't about becoming pure. It's about becoming real. And to become real, you have to stop chasing light and start embracing truth, even when that truth is messy, especially when it's uncomfortable. The real trap is thinking you're immune to the shadow once you've met it once. But the shadow isn't a single monster you conquer. It's a lifelong relationship with the parts of you that the world told you to hide. Every time you level up, a new layer is revealed. So if you find yourself asking, "Why am I still struggling after all this work?" the answer might not be that you failed. The answer might be, you skipped a chapter. Carl Jung never offered easy answers, because he knew the soul doesn't evolve through ease. It evolves through confrontation, through honesty, through dissent. The path Jung wanted for you isn't the one where you become more palatable, more positive, more together. It is the one where you become more whole, even if that means being torn apart first. He didn't teach you to rise above your pain. He taught you to descend into it, to meet it, to listen to it. Because your pain is your teacher. And when you stop running from it, it stops chasing you. That's when it becomes guidance. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic self. Not the self society asked you to be. Not the version your family would approve of. But the version of you that exists beyond performance. The you that was buried under layers of survival and shame. And this path isn't linear. There are no shortcuts. It's not about becoming better. It's about becoming you. Entirely brutally, beautifully, you. That's why the breakdown comes before the breakthrough. That is why the 3 a.m. panic eyes send you a sign. You refailing, it is a sign something deeper is waking up. The emptiness isn't a void. It's a womb. The end of who you thought you were is the beginning of who you really are. This is what Jung meant when he said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But most people never claim that privilege because they're too busy fitting in, blending in, or numbing out. And the truth is, it's hard to blame them, because this path, it's not easy, but it's real, and it's yours. If you're brave enough to take it, you won't become more perfect. You'll become more powerful, because nothing is more powerful than someone who knows who they are, and no longer needs permission to be it. There is a version of you, powerful, whole, unapologetic, waiting on the other side of everything you fear. Carl Jung called this version the self with a capital S, not the ego self that clings to identity and control, but the integrated self, the one who has walked through darkness and retrieved every broken piece.
This self doesn't perform healing, it embodies it. Doesn't deny rage or sadness. It knows how to hold them without being consumed. Doesn't seek external validation, because it's rooted in something deeper, inner truth. But to meet this version of yourself, you must pass through fire, the fire of honesty, the fire of letting go. The fire of no longer blaming the world for what you haven't faced within. Jung never promised comfort. He promised transformation. And transformation always requires death. Death of the masks, the stories, the identities that no longer serve. So ask yourself, what parts of you are still hiding? What emotions do you still judge? What truths are you still afraid to speak? Because the self, your true self, can only rise when the false self falls away. And the moment you stop trying to be better and start choosing to be real, everything changes. Start creating instead of chasing. You start speaking instead of shrinking. You stop betraying your soul for the comfort of fitting in. And slowly you realize the life you were always searching for doesn't come from becoming someone new. It comes from finally becoming you. This is the transformation Jung pointed toward, not into perfection, but into wholeness. Not into light alone, but into balance, into depth, into freedom. Because once you've walked through your own darkness and survived, the world no longer controls you. You become the authority. You become the source. And nothing is more magnetic, more unshakable, or more awakened than a human being who has met their shadow and turned it into strength. So if you've been feeling lost, like you've done the work, faced your past, said the affirmations, but still feel stuck, know this: you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are evolving. And evolution isn't pretty. It's not a straight line. It's not always inspiring. Sometimes it looks like sitting in silence at 3 a.m., questioning everything. Sometimes it feels like heartbreak, like confusion, like starting from zero. But those moments, the quiet, raw, unfiltered ones, are where your soul speaks the loudest. Carl Jung didn't want you to rise above your humanity. He wanted you to descend into it, to touch it, to embrace it. Because only then can you rise through it. And when you do, you won't just survive your dark night. You'll emerge from it with gold, a new identity, a new power, a new path. So take this as your sign. You're not lost. You're being led. You're not at the end. You're at the turning point. Now is not the time to give up. Now is the time to go deeper, because your shadow isn't the enemy. It's the guide. It's calling you home.